what do you think the modern opportunity or the modern equivalent, let's say, of 40 acres and a mule would be? Since obviously, black folks were largely screwed out of that back in the day.
Well, hold on as I eat my watermelon, okay? Hold on.
Okay. Your snacks are a lot healthier than mine, as I mentioned before the show. So,
land opportunities, and I definitely believe we should have equal footing, because I'm not going to sit here and say it's not, it is when it's not. And I just want people, and part of that, I agree with you, the sensitivity training. I do believe that. And I think it should be I think it should be some sort of, whatever packages other people have received, we can sit down. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know everything. I don't. I'm not going to say I sat down. We need to have, because think about this: when the COVID happened and the stimulus package. Oh my God, they pulled that money out quick, fast, in a hurry. When I got my check, the ink was still wet on my check. Okay, it was still wet. So I think it's a time to sit down, and it would be different if we didn't help build the country. But I just want people to know that we have to start first respecting each other. Let's start respecting each other. Let's stop disrespecting. And for me, I'm tired of seeing whenever I post Black Lives Matter, because I started deleting people from my page, and again, I love everyone, but right now there's an epidemic going on, then you have the COVID that's killing a lot of African-American people. You have, the police officers, and not just the police officers, because we still have Zimmerman walking around, and people saying that Trayvon Martin deserved it. And I just don't understand why some people cannot show us empathy towards the family and to what's going on. For the life of me, I don't get it. The other night I was crying because I was reading a post that someone posted and they thought it was personal. And I said, no, when you post something and your friends, it comes on my timeline, I'm going to check you. But I just could not believe, where I'm sorry, but he fought the police. This guy was in a car. He fought the police. And if he didn't fight the police, this wouldn't have happened to them. And that was so hurtful that some idiot, and I'm calling them an idiot for saying something like that, and I don't result calling, but it's just showing me, and it's building anger in me. And I'm trying to figure out how to fuel that anger and to soothe it, because I never want to be a person like, oh, I hate all white people, because that's not where I come from, but I'm like, when people post things like that, it makes you wonder, like, how were you raised? So with all of this happening, these were people who are my friends. I'm starting to see now who people really are because of posting things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing where maybe you're rich and you spread the wealth around with your friends, and then all of a sudden you're poor, and then you find out who your real friends are, because 98% of people are likely to just go boom, vanish, and that's certainly not a good thing. But that does help you separate the wheat from the chaff. And I've had experiences sort of like that in my own life, where things have happened, and yes, I discovered who my friends were and who my friends weren't. So, and yeah, I can see where, intellectually, I understand, I think, where Black folks today are coming from after 400 years of this nonsense, but I cannot feel it in my heart because I didn't live. So,
well, see, what's strange about that? When I saw Schindler's List, I felt it in my heart.
Did you?
I felt it, and I don't know if because we have the Jewish community and the African American community, but because remember, I didn't go through slavery, but I felt it myself, but I felt it in my heart. So when I hear people say that they didn't feel it, I don't understand that, because when I saw Schindler's List, I felt it. And I am I'm not of the Jewish descent. Well, we are. Yeah, yes, we are. But I felt it. So I was allowed to feel empathy. I cried. Schindler's List had me going crazy. When I saw Platoon, I wasn't in the military. I felt that. When I saw Saving Private Ryan, I felt that. So
Mhm.
I don't understand. And again, I'm not whether you're right or wrong. That's your cross to carry. We're
Yeah.
just, we're just having dialogue here.
Right, right. No, I understand. And similarly, if you want to look again at movies, when something like Hidden Figures or Selma or what was the movie out, Just Mercy recently, that really tore at me. But I can't feel it, even if I feel it when I see dramatizations like that. I didn't live it. I didn't live it like you folks, people of color every day with the microaggressions and the whole sweep of life where you never know where it's going to come from next. I can't relate to that, but I can understand that intellectually. And when it's in your face, like it's a dramatization, sure, I'm going to feel it, but I don't feel it in the same way that you do because it's not a constant for me as I think it's been in your life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. So let me ask you a question. Did you ever watch Roots?
I watched parts of it. I didn't watch the. Yeah, I saw. I worked mornings in radio at that time, and and that was before VCRs. So yes, I was around when dinosaurs walked the earth. But yeah, I saw enough of it to catch the broad sweep of it. So
So
yeah,
do you think you owe it to yourself to watch the whole thing? Because see, you just said
maybe
something by watching the broad sweeps. And that happened, I think it was in the 70s in the 70s or something when it
it
came out,
was
or 80s.
77, 78, something like that. Yeah.
So when you said, because there isn't anything about American history you can't tell me about, from give me
Okay.
liberty to give me death, all of that. So when you said, and to me, as your friend, I'm offended when you said you just saw the broad strokes of it as your friend. And then I'm going to be
Okay.
honest with you
Okay.
because I'm
All right.
like, this was one of the most pivotal shows that they had on television to kind of
Mhm.
show you what
Mhm.
slavery was like. This was about Alex
Mhm.
Haley's life, because we would read bits and pieces about slavery, and you heard slave. I think in the South it was more common where they understood it because they had that history.
Yeah.
But being
Yeah.
up north, we really didn't get it. So when Alex Haley created this, it was family time. We sat down, we watched it, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna be honest, I only saw it twice since it
Okay.
came. I can't watch it anymore because it was too painful. And
Mhm.
and to see that so my friend, one friend to another, I invite you to sit down and watch Roots, because not
Okay.
that what I want you to do is because it would kind of, again, it's not going to be an end all, but I'm
Mhm.
thinking I sit down and I'm required and I try to understand, like, I didn't quite understand the Jewish community, even though I grew up around them and they raised me. But
Right.
watching
Right.
Schindler's List and all these movies, The Boys from Brazil, and all those, which has nothing to do with me, but because I wanted to see what was it like. The boy in the striped pajamas, which broke my doggone heart watching it.
Mhm.
So I wanted to put myself, so when they're talking to me, like I'm talking to you, I wanted to not just be empathetic, I wanted to feel
Mhm.
so I wanted to put myself in, kind of in their shoes to see what they were talking about, gain some knowledge. So I think for us,
Mhm.
Black people, we want people just to listen, just to hear what we have to say. When someone's talking about the Holocaust, I don't jump up and say, "Well, hey, slavery." I don't do that.
Mhm.
So when
Mhm.
you're saying Black Lives Matter, I don't mean Blue Lives Matter, White Lives Matter. Just let me say it, because if something bad happening now, my police officers will tell you how much I love them and support them. I have so many white friends I love and support. But
Mhm.
just take my time to mourn a little, or just to get upset, and just to say what's going on. And that's all we're asking. Marvin Gaye wrote a song about what's going on, and it was
Right.
relevant then, and it's relevant now.
It's a
And
great song.
that's all we're asking white people. That's all I'm asking white people to do,
Okay.
just to listen. And
Mhm.
if someone gets killed or whatever, I don't want to hear if they deserved it or if they listened to the police officers. Because now here's the thing that happens. That police officer who killed George, right? Mr. Floyd, can you imagine what his family is going through? All the, God
Yep.
knows what. So I think about that too. He made a horrible decision, horrible decision, and now his family has to relive. And now, mind you, his family may be just like him, but maybe they may not. Maybe his kids are not like that, and now they're going to have to change their name, move, and have to relive what their father has done.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that there needs to be more education, more sensitivity. White folks need to listen. In the case of my family and a lot of folks in the Midwest, they live in towns that are about 98% white. So it's a little tough to get people together in a situation like that. And as far as roots in 40 years ago, I had some issues with how I was raised. I mean, I think my parents tried to do their best, but there were some problems. And I was pretty much at that point still a selfish a-hole. And it took a while for me to unlearn that and I did counseling. I don't mind admitting it. I know for a lot of folks there's a stigma there. Counseling, antidepressants, a whole round of experiences enabled me to start feeling empathy. And I probably should go back and watch Roots. But I have watched, like I said, things like The Help and Selma and Just Mercy in recent years, and I think that's been a good consciousness raising experience. Part of that evolution that I was talking about. That really, at the point that the original Roots was televised, I hadn't really nearly gotten to that point yet.
Okay, so that's what I was getting. I figured that you weren't there yet, but because I think they did a remake, and I'm not asking about the remake. I'm talking about with LeVar Burton, James Amos, Richard from John Boy. He was in it. Sandy Duncan was in it. Not Cicely Tyson. Oh yeah, she was his mother in the beginning. She was his mother. I think it was. So I think it would be great for people to watch that. And again, it's not to watch it to say, but I think get an understanding of when you're watching the cruelty of what happened. And I'm saying that because when you watch that, you understand why Black people want remnants of the statues down, why they want the flag down. So what is your feeling about them taking Aunt Jemima off the bottle?
I think that's long overdue.
And what about Gone with the Wind?
Gone with the Wind, I actually got into a spirited discussion, let's say, with a former coworker who is a Black guy and very talented, by the way, good, basically really a good person. But he said I was being stupid and insensitive because instead of saying, let's just, throw it away, my take was, it's a piece of art. It's a piece of movie history. Let's still show it, but let's put a content advisory on it and say, this represents attitudes of that time. We no longer believe in that, but here's the movie. So that's, I guess I kind of sit in the middle on it. So.
Okay. So are you, again, it's your opinion, so you're not wrong. It's just your opinion. So. Right. You're okay. So what? And I think they're going after Uncle Ben now. I think they're trying to do something with Uncle Ben. What are your thoughts about that?
Uncle Ben's converted rice.
Yes.
I wouldn't. I certainly wouldn't have a problem with chasing it because I know Uncle was a form of address for Black adults who were too old to be called boy back in the day. At least that's my understanding. So that's a term that carries, I'm sure, a lot of baggage, a lot of freight, a lot of meaning for the Black community. I don't have a problem with that.
So when you said growing up, you heard the N word from your dad's side of the family, and do you still communicate with them? And again, because for me, it's just a wow moment, like wow. Yeah, and I do know people are saying that behind closed doors and stuff, but how do you, the new Mark, how do you continue to have that relationship with them, knowing that they're racist? if you don't mind me using that word.
Yeah, no, it's okay. And I don't think my parents were so much racist as just products of their time and somewhat misguided. Let's look at it this way. You and I belong to a church that is New Thought and spiritual, and folks in the unity movement believe that sin means missing the mark, that it's descended from a Greek word that has that connotation or that meaning. So I'm trying to be more charitable, including about some of our national political leadership, that it's not so much a matter of, if you will, evil as being misguided. And I'm struggling with that, frankly, on a lot of different fronts. And I'm struggling with the ideas about my family. But, family is family, blood is blood. And I don't have a close relationship with them. My parents are dead. And
Right.
I never talked to my brother about this kind of stuff. He's 4.5 years younger than I am. And we communicate, we get along fairly well, but there were some stresses and strains in childhood and beyond. So, and then the other folks in my family, I, you know, I don't see them very much. They live up in Illinois. We have a reunion once every, well, it was once a year, but now it's once every few years. And my problem was that I never had the cojones to get up and just say, you're being a major league a-hole in saying this. I'd get up, I'd walk out. But today I would challenge, because I've just, I've just had it up to here, with the way that treatment of people of color has gone, and with just looking at the frustration bubbling over. And part of it to me is almost a case of enlightened self-interest, because I think if we don't fix this, we don't fix some of the political stuff that's going on more broadly, that there is a chance, I don't know how big a chance, and I may be overselling this or overstating this, but I think there's a chance of a new civil war, that instead of it being North and South and over slavery, it's along racial and ideological lines.
I
Because
agree. I agree. If this is
okay,
not fixed soon, yeah. If this is not fixed soon, this is going to bubble, and it will be a race war. Now, I'm not. Yes, I agree with you. That's why it needs to be fixed. So, if your daughter or son came home and they had someone, let's say right now, okay, they had a black person that they were dating, would you be okay with that?
I think so. Maybe 10 or 15 years ago, I might not have. I might have had some qualms, but I think I'd be okay with it now. It's a moot point in a sense. They're both married, but yeah, from a hypothetical standpoint, I don't think it's a problem. Let me tell a tale on my younger daughter, and to me, it's more of a character issue. She was involved in a series of relationships. With a couple of the guys were pretty good, but a couple of them I just thought, they were all white guys, by the way. A couple of them were pretty good guys. A couple of them I thought were kind of sketchy. So I paid more attention and was more encouraged by her relationship with the folks that were basically good people. Had my daughter wanted to marry one of these quote unquote sketchy guys, I would have sat her down and said, look, I just don't think this guy is right for you, and here's why, and here's why, and here's why. And you're an adult, and I can't tell you what to do, but I'm sure as hell your father, and I can render an opinion based on my being a bit apart or removed from it, and watching behaviors and weighing in on them. Because when you're so close to something like that, and particularly with a new infatuation, everything, you're on this big emotional and physical and everything kind of high. But so I related more to content of character than color of skin. I know I keep going back to that phrase, but that would be, and I would probably say to her, if that were the case, I'd say, that even today in America, with it being more enlightened, you're going to have, there may come a time when there are some issues. And I want you to think carefully about that. And if you are willing to accept the fact that there are going to be times, maybe not often, but there are going to be times and places where you're going to be made to feel uncomfortable, or even yourself discriminated against because you're married to a black guy. I want you to think about that. So, not saying no, certainly.
Well, I commend you for being very honest and open about that, because so often people are like, okay, what should I say? What should I say? And I like the fact that you did say, now I love the fact that you were honest by saying a couple of years ago, you
Yeah,
wouldn't have been. And we all grow. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what we don't know. And then we grow from things. So I just, and for this show, again, it's just an open dialogue.
Right.
Someone posted this. Okay. As Christians, Jesus said to love one another, even love your enemies. We must show others love. Answer ignorance with soundness, not disassociating. Um, I'm on the fence with that one, because I'm going to love my enemies, but you need to stay away from me. Okay. I don't
Yeah.
have a problem. For me, I don't have a problem loving you from a distance, because if
Mhm.
you're hurting me, and I know, because I know the Bible 70 times 7, and yeah, I get that. But
Mhm.
if I know you're going to continue to hurt me, for me,
Mhm.
not for anyone else, I would be stupid to allow you into, not calling anyone's, I'm talking about me. I would be stupid to
Mhm.
allow you in my space. I can love you from a distance, and that's why I'm loving social distancing
I
now.
agree. I
6 feet
agree.
away, call me on the
Mhm.
phone. Hi, how you doing? I know what the Bible says, and I don't know everything. So I'm glad that she posted that. And someone just posted, that's what the slave master taught his slaves, to keep them under control. I guess she is responding to the question, the response I just read before. I just think that we just need to love. I think once we love each other, love ourselves. And as the Bible says, love other people, love others as you would love yourself. But here's the problem. If you don't love yourself, why
I
would I expect you to love me? So I don't want you
Yeah.
to love me like you love yourself. I don't want that, because
Mhm.
if you don't know how to love yourself, don't love me. You know what I'm saying? I want to know.
Mhm.
Let's sit down. Ask me how I want you to treat me. Ask me, or I'm going to tell you, because you know me, Mark, I'm very opinionated.
You are, and that's
Ask
fine.
ask me how I want to be loved, or I'll sit down, because when you let people, you have to teach people how you want them to treat you. So I'm not going
That's
to
exactly right.
automatically oh, thank you. Darlene said you can never be stupid. You can never be stupid. Your choices can be stupid. Thank you, Darlene. So for me,
That's true
I
too.
just choose to, I don't have the patience. You know what, Mark? I don't have the bandwidth anymore. I'm like the computer. Like, we have to upgrade. I don't have the bandwidth. I don't have the patience anymore. I
Mhm.
don't. And what I mean by that is, okay, she's 80 years old. That's how she is. She's ordinary. I don't have time and the patience for that anymore, especially if not dementia's not involved, or Alzheimer's. I don't have time for that. So now, in the past, when people would slight me or say little things, I would let it go. I'm not letting it go anymore. But
I
I'm being
think
respectful. I am being respectful about that. Darlene said, Jesus is my master, and I have no problem to obey him. And you know what? Here's the other thing, too. Just because you read something in the Bible, you may interpret it one way, and I'm interpreting it another way. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So the Bible, that's my bread and butter, 'cause I read the
Mhm.
Bible, but
Sure.
I think the Bible is open to interpretation. So you may read one thing, and that's your interpretation. Just because I don't agree with you, that doesn't mean I'm wrong. I think you and I are in agreement. The church that we go to, and it's not a church really, it's a worship, because he doesn't like to
Yeah.
be called a church. Um,
Right.
we
Yeah.
believe in Jesus, and so for me, it's all open to interpretation. But I think that Richard would agree. It all boils down to love.
It does.
Whole foundation boils down to, because if we loved each other, we wouldn't have slavery. If we loved each other, we wouldn't have what happened in Germany. I think we just need to love each other, respect each other, and just
Mhm.
make this world a better place. I think I just wrote a song or something. I think I
Let
just
me
wrote
get
a
my guitar out and we'll start playing around with it. So why
song.
not? But
Wow.
yeah, I agree. I mean, it does come down to love. And the problem to me is that too many people don't love themselves. I spent a long time in that same space myself. And when you don't, I think it's a real temptation to find another group of people or kind of people to put down so that you can somehow feel a bit exalted and superior yourself. When you do love yourself, the need to do that, I think, pretty much disappears. So, you know, I, it may sound pie in the sky, but I think love can solve a whole lot of problems. And if this is a terrible series of events, tragic killings, race crimes involving racial discrimination and brutalization. But and I don't, I wish it hadn't happened. But if ultimately more respect and more love comes out of it, I am all for it.
And let me say this before we decide to wrap up.
Sure.
I don't want it. First of all, I'm going to speak for the Black community, and I hate speaking for anyone. I'm going to speak for the Black community. The Black community is not asking for a handout, okay?
Right.
We don't look at reparation as a handout. We look at something that we were owed and we would do and we would like to get. We just want respect. That's all we want. We want equal playing ground. That's it. But I don't want people to think when someone says reparation, oh, you want a handout. It's not a handout because, it was given out to other people. I just want people to understand that for me, what I'm seeing, I think the police officers, need to be trained a little bit more.
A lot
more. Yeah. I do believe, and I personally said, I think my two police chiefs need to go out and train all the entire country. What do you think about funding the police department?
I don't quite understand that. I've not delved into it. Are we talking about complete defunding, or are we talking about diverting some money into social service programs so that, for example, if there's a domestic case or a child abuse case, that automatically a social worker goes out with a cop? Is that the kind of thing that we're talking about?
Yeah, because for me, defunding means not taking away the police department. For me, defunding means like if you were giving $50 million to New York Police Department, you 30, 20 should go to, I think, or 15% should go to mental health. So if there's someone with ADD and they're being very aggressive, maybe there's a police officer who wants to go into take some a psychology or social work classes. That money can go to his training so he can de-escalate the situation.
It makes sense, yeah.
I'm thinking a lot should go towards mental health, schools. That's what I believe in. So I don't believe in taking away the police department. I don't believe in that. I do believe police officers should live where they work. I do believe in that because then you'll know the culture. Here's another question, another statement. Jesus, because prior to that, this was prior to the disassociation. So the response is Jesus didn't stay in the church. That's true. He was a traveler. He spoke about racism and the wicked oppression the poor. So, so they were responding to the other person talking about, just loving or whatever. So I just, that's what I feel. If you're going to defund that, and I think I saw something about in Georgia, they were thinking about getting rid of the local police department, the city police department, and maybe the county, keeping the county.
Taking over. Yeah.
I don't want the county taking over because the county may not know what's going on in Kennesaw, but if you have the Kennesaw Police Department and the Acworth Police Department, they know what's going on. What is your thoughts about that?
About having, specifically in Brunswick, where the Ahmaud Arbery case happened, they're talking about dissolving the county police department because it's had a history of racism and turning over patrolling to the sheriff's office. As a general principle of things, I think it helps to be close to where. How do I say this? It helps to be close or in tune with your audience and your constituency. If I could, I'm a journalist and I was on radio for a long time. Nowadays, a lot of radio stations have people voice track from hundreds of miles away, introing songs and giving the weather forecast or whatever. And it works to a point, but it's made radio sound robotic and unrelatable to a community. And similarly, I think that you mentioned police officers living where they work, but Atlanta's becoming so damned expensive that people like police officers, teachers, and firefighters can't afford to do that. If I could mention defunding, I'm going to disagree with you to a degree on defunding. Just considering this, the bulk of expenses in any organization of significant size is salaries. So I'm not sure how defunding will affect that. My opinion is that people like cops and firefighters and teachers deserve to make at least double
Yes.
what they're making now. So I guess my attitude would be not defunding the police, but it would be, let's make sure that the police are trained properly, have a social service worker able to go out, with them, and we beef up those social services in tandem with the police department. I'm just afraid that defunding would weaken the department, weaken police departments.
See, and because I see a lot of cases or hear a lot of cases where a marital dispute and things like that, where officers are not trained in psychology or social work, I think that for me, you take some of the money, not all of the money. Let's take a percentage of the money, because you just said something about social work. You're gonna have to find the money from somewhere, because they're not paying them correctly. You know what I'm saying? And I know when I was growing up, they were getting 18-year-olds to be police officers, or 17 to go into be police departments. So they're pretty young. So I just think that we really need to take a look at a lot of things. I don't agree with the county. I'd like to see my city police officers.
I can understand that.
So, because then maybe what's going to happen is so those police officers that are in the city, are they then now going to have to go work for the county? So maybe that'll work, but something just doesn't seem right if that's the case. I don't know.
Yeah, I think in the case of Brunswick, it sounds like the county police department there is pretty institutionally racist. So.
No, I'm thinking like in Atlanta, because it was
in Atlanta specifically.
I mean, in Cobb, that they were thinking, I think they were putting it in a vote or something. But again, Mark, this is the conversation we need to sit down and have. Every person, if there's an issue, and I don't have if someone's out there and they want to sit down and come be a guest on this show, and I don't care if you're who you are. We're going to have, as long as we have a level of respect, we can have a conversation, whether you hate Black people or, you believe that slavery should be here. We could still have that conversation, because I'm at a point in my life where I think everyone needs to be heard. And what I mean by that, I'm not here giving them a platform to talk about, yes, slavery was great. No, but I want them to be able to listen on how we feel in 2020, because I don't think a lot of people are saying they watch movies, but no one has really sat down and had that conversation, that real not the knee jerk, but the real feeling, or talk to families who were affected by it. I have a friend, he's in Statesboro. His family, he can go trace way back and talk about slavery with his family. So that's down the line. So I don't have that. So I think we need to have those kind of discussions. But first and foremost, I think we do need to start respecting each other. If someone posts something on their page, Black Lives, or even when police officers were dying and they were getting shot a couple of years ago, if you remember.
There was a spate of that. Yeah.
Right, I remember that. And I was posting Blue Lives Matter and stuff like that. And I wasn't saying, well, police officers I wasn't doing that. I just want people to be more sensitive and cognizant when someone posts Black Lives Matter or we're having conversations, because I'm tired of seeing people who I thought I knew. So I'm hoping some of them are watching this or on the replays, that just be empathetic when we put that, and stop being insensitive by saying, well, he ran and he shouldn't have fought the police officer, or well, George Floyd must have done something why they did that, or Arbery was definitely walking in someone's backyard, that kind of thing. So I think they need to, be mindful, because sometimes you may say something and it may be a trigger to someone, and you may find yourself on the floor.
Yeah, it's quite possible.
Think about that too. Okay, here's another comment. Here's something that someone said, especially if they were put in place to police Black people. Someone said after slavery, I guess basically what I was just talking about. And someone said, another person said, there's no justice in this society for Black people. What do you think about that?
What was the first comment?
The first comment was especially if they were put in place to police Black people. That's when I was talking about we were had that conversation about the police department and things like
Mhm,
that.
mhm.
And then okay, so someone else posted. I want you to respond to what do you think about the responses that there is no justice in society for Black people?
I guess from my perspective, I don't think there's no justice, but I definitely think there is unequal justice.
Mhm.
That if you have money, if you happen to be white, if you happen to be, there was a case in Atlanta a few years ago where a well-connected white attorney, he was eventually convicted, I believe, of shooting his wife, making it look like an accident. He was very well connected, and he wasn't even arrested for a couple of months. In the same way that the white folks, the guy and his son in the Arbery case, weren't arrested for a couple of months. I think there is justice, but I think um, uh, there's a definite inequality, and that needs to at least be moved closer, if not fixed. I mean, entirely. You look at the '80s, crack cocaine penalties were much harsher than penalties for possession of powdered cocaine, and a lot of people of color were sentenced to disproportionately long terms in prison compared to the white folks who lived in mansions and snorted lines of cocaine from with $100
Right.
bills, something like that. So that was definitely not fair. So yeah, I guess I'm repeating myself. I think there is justice, but I think there are a lot of factors that make it unequal in many cases, and we got to work on
Well, Darlene said it sounds like putting it in the hands of other hands, and it makes matters worse. The character of people is what needs to be addressed. I agree
that.
because sometimes it hurts people. She also she posted giving city to county. So, do you agree, Darlene, when I mentioned that we should leave it the way it is, where Cobb, Kennesaw Police Department, Ackworth Police Department, instead of having
Mhm.
county cover everything. I want to see your response on that because I personally think we need to leave it the way it is. The Ackworth, Kennesaw.
Mhm.
I'm just curious because you're not wrong. It's your opinion. So, Darlene, what do you have to say when you say giving city to county? Are you saying we should leave it the way it is, or are you saying that we should then let the county take over the city? That'll be interesting. So the county would
Yeah.
be able to take Mary, all 6 counties, South Cobb, and East Cobb,
Mhm.
West Cobb. That,
Mhm.
they'd have to hire more police officers to do that.
Right, right,
So
right.
and you give preferential treatment to the police officers that worked in,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying, in
Mhm.
these counties. Darlene, yeah, please post. Let me know what you're saying about that because I really would like to see your response to that. So, Mark, we're going to close up shop pretty soon.
Yeah.
So, what is your takeaway from the conversation that we had tonight?
I think it's that we have more points of agreement than we do disagreement, and that yes, I think that people of color have every right, and that includes not only black folks, but the Japanese in turn during World War II. A lot of examples like that have a right to be very angry, and I understand that, and I understand some of the violence that's broken out, the looting and whatnot, because you're talking about long held passions. And then when you get into a mob, there is such a thing as mob psychology. I've
Yeah.
covered a couple of riots, and I've seen mob psychology take over otherwise rational people, their prefrontal cortexes get entirely disconnected, and they become these, animals that just want to hurt and throw things and burn things. And so there's a lot of that. I mean, I don't condone the violence. I don't condone the looting and whatnot, but it's understandable. And unlike some folks I've seen post on Facebook, I don't think that it's a bunch of outside agitators coming in. There might be a degree of that, but if you look at, I think there was one example recently of not in Atlanta, but in another city, a bunch of people were arrested, and there was some backlash saying, "Oh, it's outside agitators." But virtually everybody that was arrested in that city was from that city or the surrounding suburbs. So if you look at it from that yardstick, it wasn't an orchestrated outside agitator movement that took hold there. So
Yeah, you made some good points on that, but they're finding out. I think there was that lady who was spraying the Starbucks, and she went out there spraying her Starbucks, and she was white and she was dressed all in black, and people were thinking it was black people who did it. I just,
Right.
it's
Right. Yeah.
just what I want people to imagine. The reason I love A Time to Kill, and that's a movie with Matthew McConaughey and Samuel Jackson.
I love that movie.
I love that movie,
And the book, yeah.
And the part that I love in the movie is when he was trying to get the jurors to understand. They weren't understanding. They weren't getting through. But the minute he told them to close their eyes, and he goes through that whole thing of what happened to the little girl, and then he said, "Imagine if she was white," and then all of a sudden, which was sad to me, was tears started falling because he said she was white. When she was black, or what she was, it wasn't. You didn't have to.
No big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. What people need to understand is you would begin to understand what we have to do. When my husband leaves the house and he's not in Kennesaw Acworth, I worry about him coming home. It's sad when your child is playing amongst their friends, or you have a little boy. You have to tell the police officer, if you're driving a car, he's 17, put your hand on 10 and 2, don't move fast. But white people don't have to do that. They just have to say, respect the police officers. I saw a video on YouTube where this lady actually was screaming at the police officer, screaming in his face, and he didn't do anything. Eventually he walked away. And she said she was an attorney, and so disrespectful.
Yeah.
And you have to tell your children, make sure, you keep your hands in your pocket, you don't move a lot, or you take your hands out of your pocket. When the police officer comes, you just keep your hands up. It's so much that we have to tell our boys when they were, if they encounter the police. It's just sad where I don't think white people know what we have to tell them. I think it was something one of the celebrities said. I think it was Gabrielle Union said that with her son, when he goes over to his white friend's house, she told her son, make sure you're in open view. The parents see where you are. Never be in a room by yourself, because if something is missing, you're the first person they're going to blame, even if there's 5 other kids. And I'm like, wow. That you have to do, so the kids can't be kids anymore. Let me read a comment. It says,
okay, let me, I'm about to lose my phone here, so I need to pardon the disruption.
Okay.
But
let me just read the comment while you're doing
sure,
that.
Go ahead.
It's all unfair because we're not full human. It makes it easy for white people to ignore black people's suffering. Someone else posted, leave it as it is. Okay, with our officers are close to the people in our communities, hard work to build relationships. The county has officers with compassion and some that are not. Our chief attracts good characters. I know she must be in Acworth. That I think I'm looking at the last name because he mentors me, that police chief. So I think that's what she's talking about. She also said it may not have a desire for a relationship with people. I think she probably means with the when the county goes home, they go home, so they don't have to have the relationship with us. But the cities do have that relationship with us. So, my takeaway is we can agree to disagree. We don't have to call each other names like stupid and you're dumb and how can you not agree with me? You're an imbecile. We can agree respectfully on how we feel. We don't have to be disrespectful. And I'm still willing to learn. I'm a sponge. I want to learn. I'm going to continue to love, because what I'm not going to allow this to do is I'm not going to allow what's going on for me to say I hate white people. It's not. I'm not going to allow that to happen, because I'm not going to allow this for me to say I hate all police officers. It's not going to happen. I am walking with my eyes wide open, and I know I may be criticized for that, but I'm all about the love, and I want us to just continue to see how we can better ourselves. Whether you're woke whether you're awake, whether you're still finding yourself. Let's see how we can make this a better place. Uh-oh, I think that's another song. You know, let's
You're going to
see.
have a whole album pretty soon.
I know. Someone said this was a good dialogue, and I thank
Right.
God for this
Okay.
because I wanted someone who's going to be transparent. I don't want anyone who's going to be politically correct. I just want to just say, because at the end of the day, let's talk about it. If it's something I don't like what you're saying or I don't agree,
Mhm.
let's talk
Mhm.
about it some more.
Mhm.
You know, and
Mhm.
let's see. I'm not asking you to change to my way of thinking. I just want to be just respect my way of thinking, and I'll respect
Sure.
yours. You know. So I think this was a
Sure.
great show. I want to thank Mark for being on, and it was just a great dialogue. I want to thank those for posting it. You know, your comments, please share, share. I'm going to definitely post this on my YouTube, Mark. And this is just the beginning because, as we said in the beginning, and Mark wrote the description, I'm not going to take, there was no typos, there was no run on sentence. That was Mark. So,
Well, I've
yeah,
been guilty of that in the past at times. So, yeah.
so, you know, again, this is just a first of many discussions, and this is a dialogue we're trying to have. We're trying to present solutions. We're not trying to be lecturing anyone. We want to be able to create dialogue with everyone watching this live that we're doing. And now that we're in the Corona era where we can just get everyone on, you know, because now you can't say, oh, I got to get dressed up and I got to go to work. Some people are going to work, you
Sure.
know, and leaving the house because the state is open now. But we just want people to understand, you know, please mask up, please wear your gloves, please use your
Oh,
sanitizers, you know, eat
for
healthy,
heaven's sake, please.
you know,
Yeah.
please, you know, if it's not for you, at least for me. Don't wear it because you're okay, but wear it because you don't want
Mhm.
me or people like me. When I mean people like me, I don't mean black. I mean people who are not wearing a mask. You know,
Mhm.
you're not wearing a mask, but so be cognizant of people like us. So it was a great show tonight.
I enjoyed it immensely. Yes.
I did too, because I'm like, nope, let's take the gloves off. Let's stop,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
pitter-patting around the issue. Let's jump into it. So I can't wait for us to do another show on another topic, but still race related and things that are coming up, and we'll see what happens. So we want to thank everyone for tuning in. Mark, thank you for being such a wonderful guest. I appreciate it. And you're
Well,
not a
thank you
guest
for
anymore.
inviting me.
You're not a guest anymore. You're part of the Women Are Worthy family. You're part of the
Oh,
family.
okay.
So we want to
Okay.
thank you.
Well,
Thank
thank
everyone
you.
for tuning in, and we want everyone to have a great night. And I want you to have a wonderful Wednesday because I'm still going to have a turn up Tuesday. I'm here eating my watermelon. I made my drink. This is my celery drink that I'm drinking tonight,
Mhm.
and then I'll pretty much be going Betty bye. So without further ado, thank you everyone. Have a wonderful evening, and please share the show. Please share it. Thank you.